T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's get ready to sucker!
Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of sun. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me, yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. That's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Just running over with the dollar signs. Try and take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Down in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ysn Power Hour for Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. DJ Oakley here. We got Mac, we got Quinn, we got Bunce, we got Rob, and we have EB. 6-shooter here on the network here today from 3 to 4. We appreciate y'all joining us, and happy National Good Neighbor Day. Good Neighbor Day. So the question for us today is, who is the best neighbor you've ever had? Whether it's, proximity in your home, is it a neighbor at school, is it a locker room neighbor? Who is the best neighbor you have ever had in your life? Billy, lead her off.
Actually, it's the neighbors I have currently, because I don't see them, I don't hear them, they don't bother me. So that, to me, makes the best neighbor of all time.
Well played. Quinn?
The legend himself, Richie Giuliano. He's my neighbor.
Turn up your volume.
It is all the way up.
Okay, that's better. Talking to the microphone.
Richie's my neighbor.
So
Richie is my favorite.
My favorite neighbor was Naples. We lived next door to Naples for like 4 or 5 years, so they were one of my favorite neighbors. So I have a really good neighbor right now. She cut my grass yesterday. It was really cool. I came home and the grass was cut. So she's like, she was bored. She was on her tractor and decided to cut my yard too. So I like to think I'm a pretty good neighbor. Every Wednesday morning, I bring all the neighbors' garbage cans up to their houses. So on either side of the house, we bring them all up to their house for them. So
Look at you, like State Farm, like a good neighbor.
yeah.
Paul Munson's there. Rob, who's the best neighbor you've ever had?
I'm the damn president of the neighborhood watch. What do you think? Myself.
All right, well played. I'll take that. You're your best neighbor, I guess. EV.
Best neighbor? It's tough. Probably the soccer girls in college. I mean, we were all friends. We all got to hang out together. A lot of perks when you hang out with Division I athletes who are generally fairly good looking. And because, we were all just kind of cool and had a good time.
There you go. I'm going to go college as well. Our neighbors in college, we actually took all the beds and put them in one room, and then we had like a living room in the adjoining room. So it was pretty cool. So Squirrel and Cochran were our neighbors. So from Wilmington High School over in PA.
Damn it, Squirrel!
Squirrel was the man. Squirrel is a I guess that's offline. I'll have to tell you about that. But Squirrel could pee into a toilet from about 30 feet away. So, and he's tested it. He tested it. That was a party trick that he had, that he could, because we had like the bathroom in the middle and then a room on each side. So he would actually go to the bathroom, start peeing, and then start walking backwards to see how far he could go, and then start walking forward. So there's a party trick for those of you going to college, and nobody does it like Squirrel. Would you rather? I changed it up, guys. Did everybody see that at the last minute? So I apologize.
Yeah, that's a very tough one.
It's dangerous. So would you rather? You ready? Would you rather have whatever you are thinking appear above your head for everyone to see, or have absolutely everything you do live streamed for anyone to see? And of course, this question brought to you by our friends over at Baird Brothers Fine Hard. Would you rather have whatever you are thinking appear over your head for everyone to see, or absolutely everything you do live streamed for anyone to see? I'm pretty much on that second one already, so I feel like I'm out of it. Billy?
Well, because I'm a total narcissist, I guess live stream it up. Let's go.
I would expect no less from you, sir. Quinn?
Yeah, live stream it. I don't want people knowing what I think.
But everything you do? Are you
That's
sure
fine.
about that?
That's fine.
All righty.
These
Watch me too long.
these images are not.
What did you think was going to happen when you asked a question like this? Well, you're going to get some wrong answers. I'm already paranoid as hell if that Bible turns out to be true, and how they say you're going to answer for everything. And that kind of intimidates me a lot. So the thought of having everybody see what I'm thinking, I couldn't imagine that. But at the same time, I mean, geez,
See what you're doing. That's the crazy
see
thing.
what I'm doing. Like, here's the thing. It depends on who's tuning in. Some people will be like, hey, you're going to get a show. Some people will be like, you might want to change the channel at least for a half hour.
So here's
Maybe 2 minutes.
So here's where I think this is going. Is what's more dangerous, your thoughts or your actions?
I would say your actions, because your actions could have way more consequences than your thoughts.
I've learned for you,
Right?
Your thoughts are way more dangerous than your actions. But when you put your thoughts to action, that's where it's crazy. But you have done so well over the last week. I don't know. I don't want to know what you're thinking. I don't want to know. So that would be
Trust
more
me, you
dangerous to me.
don't. It's such an SHIT show, you couldn't imagine. Trust me.
Paul, how about you?
Most definitely. I mean, listen, you're gonna pay for either one of them at some angle. So screw it. You know what? I'd rather see a little bubble pop above my head. And listen, it's the way I feel. So listen, if you can't take it, then too bad. Because trust me, there's a lot of stuff people don't want to see that goes on in my life, and so that'd be dangerous. I mean, whether you're out shopping or driving in the car or in your privacy of your own home. No, this isn't Ed TV going on here, or what was the other one with
Truman Show.
Yeah, the Truman Show. Yeah, God forbid. That's just terrible. No, I'd just rather a thing pop above my head, think, oh, you're a dickhead. Okay, whatever. Is what it is.
They're already watching us anyway.
Yeah, this is true.
For an hour a day, though, Billy. The other 23 hours, it's like Rob said, it's an SHIT show.
They're watching us.
Oh, whatever.
Always. And EB, how about you?
I'm gonna go live stream. I can monetize that shit. Like, hey, this very boring segment of EB's life is brought to you by whatever it is. Or, oh look, it's Friday. Happy hour. He's out at a bar. He's not very shocked by that one. Yeah, and I don't think people need to know what I'm thinking majority of the time, nor do I want them to, especially if it's about them. So we'll go with live stream.
Yeah, I'm going with live streaming as well. I think that I can probably protect myself enough. Like, people don't want to know what I'm thinking. A lot of times they know what I'm thinking anyway because I make it known. But I don't think they really want to know. Like, digging down that rabbit hole, there's no coming back from that sometimes, and especially some nights. On a Friday night, you probably don't want to be in the head of DJ Oakley. So there you go. It's the Would You Rather, brought to you by our friends over at Bear Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Guys, yesterday we didn't even get to talk necessarily about the Steelers and Browns. We talked about the NFL. We talked about kind of glazed over the weekend. Thoughts on the performances? Rob, you talked about the defense stepping up naturally. Do you feel like the Browns are the real deal at this point? Are the Browns legit?
I personally go back and forth with that, and the reason is it's almost like you get two different teams on offense periodically. It seems like they switch back and forth. So you'll have one drive where the touchdown's coming. Then you'll have 4 or 5 drives where, good luck. So do I think they're legit? Yes. But, at the same time, after 20-some years of nothing but consistent disappointment left and right and with nothing to show for, at this point, I will say that I'm way more excited now than I ever have been when it comes to the Browns. But, again, the defense, I was just talking smack about our defense. Before Sunday's game, and then all of a sudden, the NFL's best defense shows up and completely shuts down the Chicago Bears team. So, I'm excited. So I'll say that about the Browns. About the Steelers, I've never really been one of those fans that have been so, I would say, just enamored with constantly running my mouth in regards to Steelers fans. I know we all know Steelers fans can be difficult, but not every single one of them. So I've never really been like that. I personally was not a hater when Cowher and Bettis got their Super Bowl ring. I didn't hate it at all. What I will say about them this year is, watching them play the way they are now, that's going to take away from our game. And I'm not looking forward to it because I would love to see Pittsburgh do so much better and then get to Cleveland or there and, just have us smack the hell out of them. So that's where I'm at with that team right now.
Billy, is this a Browns team that should be winning these games and should be posting the numbers that they are? The Bears and the Texans are the 2 wins and lose to Kansas City, who's now 1-2.
Yeah, I said it Sunday. Relax. It's a game we're supposed to win. The way we did it, defensively, 47 total yards. That's pretty impressive. I don't care what NFL team. That's super impressive. Again, can you do this? Obviously not this type of production, but can you match up against some of these elite quarterbacks? Nobody's sitting here saying Justin Fields is an elite quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing the Browns this year. So what can you do against a guy like Aaron Rodgers? You already seen what you're able to do with Mahomes. Some of these better quarterbacks. What can you do? Can you get that type of pressure when guys are mobile? And they can get rid of the football a lot quicker and have more than their first ever pro start. That's something, and again, Baker Mayfield is the worst rated quarterback in the NFL when it comes to 3rd and 8 and blitzing situations. So that's going to have to improve. I don't care what nobody says. His QBR is this and yes, he's 2nd and 4 almost every drive. So when your running game's that great, and it is, It's one of the best in the NFL. And if your defense can show that they can get to the quarterback, Baker's job is a lot easier. He can manage a football game, and that's not necessarily a negative thing. That's just a role he's supposed to play for this team. But I will say, and I said it last year, Odell Beckham brings us a new dynamic playmaker that we really have never had in Cleveland outside of Josh Gordon, who just apparently he's going to play football again.
He is for Kansas City.
For the Chiefs, yeah.
Quinn, the three biggest kryptonite words in Brown's vocabulary for the last 3 years has been they should be. They should be. Everybody's talking about how good they are. They should be. When you receive 22 first-round, top 5 draft picks or whatever it is in a row until this past year, do you feel like the Browns should be this good, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been, like you said, it's been 5-6 years of all this building and coming together. I mean, I think they finally got the stability that they need to be as good as they are. And I mean, I think they should have. I think they should be 3-0 right now, to be honest with you.
Okay, respect for that. EB, your Cowboys were in action last night, and they blew the doors off the Eagles. Are the Cowboys for real?
Time will tell. I think the defense is tenfold better than what they were last year, and they're not even really healthy yet. And they're still missing Collins because he wanted to pay off a drug test person or whatever, silly thing that was. But everyone knew the offensive weapons they had. It was always the questions were out on the defense. Now, Diggs and Parsons, in my opinion, you want to keep those two because they are freaking budding stars. And you take someone like Parsons who can play linebacker, and then you have some injuries or COVID protocols, and then you throw him at end, and he has just such a high motor, and he does such a great job of tracking the ball and putting pressure on a quarterback. He's fun to watch, and then you finally get a corner, which seems like an eternity, 20 years in the making, that can actually shut someone down and catch a ball, it seems like, which granted, Diggs used to be a wide receiver, so at Alabama at that, so I hope he can catch a football. But
is it his brother Stephon Diggs?
I'm
pretty sure.
I think so, or there's some relation. I'm not positive. I mean, but I still think you have time will tell, because you have Carolina coming up, which we'll see how you handle Christian McCaffrey. They're 3-0, and
he's out.
Is he?
Yeah, he's out for at least 3 weeks.
All right. Well, we'll see how you adjust to that. It always seems they play to a level of competition sometimes, but then also you have a pretty tough November because they're 1-2, but I know Kansas City, you play them in November, and then I forget who
Broncos,
else.
I think they play the Broncos in there.
Yeah, I mean they have a couple. They have a couple games that it's going to be. It's not going to be a pushover. So we'll see. Expectations with Dallas are never good. So fly under the radar.
I think Parsons is the steal of the draft so far this year. I think he's the best player right now, playing at the highest level. I also think he's more suited to play with his hand in the dirt. I think when injuries happen, I think last week when he had to play the 7 technique or whatnot, or the 9, he just showed himself that, hey, this is where he belongs. Hopefully he can stop moving around as much. It's hard to be a rookie in the NFL, let alone play multiple positions. Although he can, I just think he's a better pass rusher than anything else. So.
Well, and when they drafted him, that was a big thing that they loved, like just his ability to get sideline to sideline and his speed was huge for them,
right.
Which, we'll see. Van Der Esch had the potential, but the dude can never stay healthy. Then you had, what's his name from Notre Dame? Smith, I believe. He he's good, he was another good linebacker that actually exceeded expectations after coming on an ACL injury. But, another person, they have some talent. They just can never stay healthy.
Hey, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year. So It's looking good so far.
It's true. Muns, Quinn talked about he thinks the Browns should be 3-0. Your team is 3-0 with the Raiders. Talk to me about what you're seeing from the Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, they struggled a little bit last week. They were down early, then they got a big lead, and then they let that lead slip away against Miami, and then they had to win it in overtime. But they were out. They were without their star running back. Jacobs wasn't there, so one more weapon on the offense that Carr didn't have. But offensively, I like the Raiders. I mean, they've got one of the best tight ends. I mean, not a lot of people are talking about them that much, because Kelsey's one of the big guys out there, and the kid for San Francisco is another one, Kittle. But Vegas has a good tight end, and he's money when he's in the slot, and just is great.
You talking about Walker?
Waller.
Yeah.
The defense worries me a little bit because they're letting teams get back in the game when they could have a chance to shut the door on them and put them away. But I mean, their big litmus test is going to be this week because the Chargers just beat Kansas City, and then they get the Chargers Monday night, and so that'll be a battle for the AFC West because right now it's them and Denver sitting at the top, which nobody would have ever expected. But I mean, I still believe in my heart of hearts that the AFC West is still going to go through Kansas City. I mean, and until somebody beats them twice, and you're one of the conference teams that beats them twice, Kansas City's still the team to beat. I mean, you got Mahomes and those guys over there. So, I mean, hey, the Chargers just did it. So if the Chargers can beat them again, then hey, maybe it's going to go through Los Angeles. But if the Raiders can win this week, then maybe it goes through Vegas. But I mean, I'm excited, 3-0. I like to, see them make the playoffs this year. I saw a couple people are sitting they're picking them to barely finish 500 and maybe finish 6-10. But I'm like, I don't think anybody expects them to come out and be 3-0 right now either. So I'll take it.
I think with Kansas City, it's almost like it's their conference until they're eliminated from playoffs. Until they don't make the playoffs or get eliminated.
And that's the thing. I mean, you got a team that's won the Super Bowl and been to the Super Bowl the last 2 years. So, I mean, and they've dominated the AFC West for a long time, for at least, since they had Mahomes in a couple more years. So it's like, listen, until you can beat them, they're the team to beat. And just because they're 1-2 right now and they're in the bottom of the conference, so what?
They're having issues because they can't run the football at all. They cannot run the football at all. You saw a little glimpse with the Rams. They were able to run the football a little bit better the other night. So that's encouraging to see them because that was my big knock on the Rams where can they run the football when they have to, and they were able to. So
didn't Hilaire go for 100 or just about in that loss?
I don't think so.
I thought he went for 100.
Because they're having trust issues with him because he fumbled the ball late.
Didn't those start last year though too? Last year he had that big first week and then just nosedive, big time.
I think he got either COVID or hurt or something like that, and they brought in Le'Veon Bell late in the season. But I mean, this is uncharted territory just for Andy Reid. 11-0 in September with the Chiefs coming into the season.
Yeah, and then he gets carted off, in an ambulance at the end of the game too. So
yeah, I think they released him last night. I was watching on the SVP show. So he's never been the epitome of health. I don't think anybody's ever pinned him as a guy that's going to be on Men's Health magazine. The closest thing we have to Andy Reid is Jeff Bezos. So I don't know. I think that Kansas City is going to be a team that you're going to see I should say, bounce back in a big way. Patrick Mahomes to me needs to stop doing these look-off passes. What's so difficult and super hard about looking at a receiver when he's downfield wide open? Just so you're on highlights doing this, great, good for you. But one's enough in that situation. He threw a pick last week because of it. Just throw the freaking football. That's all there is to it. Emo chimed in.
He loves how it looks on ESPN. That's why he does that. And it's going to bite you in the butt once in a while.
Yeah, but there's a time and place for it. Like the one time that he did it was great because maybe that's all that he ever had. And I get the different arm angles and, being smaller quarterbacks. But when, as coaches, I think we all say sometimes less is more. keep it simple, stupid, and a lot of good things will happen.
It's so funny because even in that Sunday night game, they were talking about probably the second greatest coach of all time, Bill Walsh, was talking about his quarterbacks looking down the field and always keeping your head here. And then you got Mahomes going, hey, look, I'm LeBron. And it's just kind of weird. I mean, Bill Walsh kind of knows a thing or two about quarterbacks. He said at least two pretty good ones.
Walsh was saying at the last minute, turn your head. Like, look here, look here, look here. Now you know you're going to go right, boom, turn, and then look at that guy. Don't give that defensive guy that jump on there. I mean, and you look at Kansas City, I mean, they don't have a very easy schedule the rest of the way out. I mean, they're going to get the Eagles, which they're both 1-2. You get the Bills, Washington, who's Titans. They're going to get a terrible Giants team, the Packers, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and then you're playing, the rest of their division with another Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. So,
and that division's turned out to be pretty good this year so far.
Yeah.
With that defense, they could lose quite a few of those games.
They could be the wild card team easily, or out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, which means you guys know it. The rankings, the computer rankings, have dropped by the OHSAA. So I want to get your opinion on that. We have at least a couple minutes to start it off. Let's start off in Division 2, where Austintown Fitch comes in at number 7 with a 3-2 record, 6.5955 on the computer rankings. Do you like this for Fitch? I mean, they're one loss away from being probably traveling in the postseason. Do you like them being at 7 right now? Do you feel comfortable with them at 7?
I think that's just what they are, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, they have 2 losses and they have a game that they missed, so the multiplier is really helping them in this case. If they were to play another game, depending on who they played, they might be at 9 or 10.
And they still got some big games. I mean, Boardman's only a couple behind them, and they get Boardman soon.
They have Canfield this week. You beat Canfield this week, and you know Canfield's probably not going to drop any other game outside of maybe Austintown. I haven't checked their schedule yet, but they're going to get you some of those points too.
Canfield is 5-1 and are ranked 8th in Division 3, Region 9. So keep that.
And Canfield's getting Fitch, East, Howland, Boardman. That's the rest of the way out for them. So 2 big games for them, this week and then at the end of the season.
This will solidify them as having a probably, for Canfield, if they can win this game, that's going to give them a home game for the playoffs.
Boardman coming in at 4-2. There will be the 9th seed, as it looks like right now, with a 6.2835. They're behind Cuyahoga Falls, Walsh Jesuit, and in front of Lyndhurst Brush. Is that the same Brush that somebody's playing this week? Is that Cheney playing Brush? Or
I think so, yeah.
I believe so.
So that you'll get a look at least at Brush if you're Boardman.
Mooney's playing Brush.
Yeah, so at least you'll have a little bit of tape on them if you can't find it elsewhere. But I like Boardman at 9. I think it's unfortunate because if everything ended today and the playoffs started, they'd be on the road taking on Cuyahoga Falls Walsh Jesuit. Correct? The 8 and the 9 seed playing off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you talk about a hard schedule. They got to finish with Harding, which, I'll tell you right now, I'm probably going to be picking Harding in that game, even though I want Boardman to win it.
Harding is the 13th.
Yeah, they're 2-4, and they're in the playoffs at 2-4.
But that's what I'm saying. The way they're losing, Harding actually has a really good football team. If you
they can score points.
Yeah, a lot of them, too. And then you got Harding, Ursuline, Fitch, and then Canfield. You talk about a gauntlet of a schedule to finish out a season and then try and get into a playoff. Good luck if you're
Boardman. I don't know if there's anybody who has a harder schedule than Boardman right there.
I don't think so. I was looking back and forth, and I want to say Boardman has one of the toughest local schedules left for this season.
You look at everybody in Division 2. You look at Fitch, Boardman, then you look at that Steel Valley Conference has absolutely annihilated the back end of their schedule. It's a gauntlet. It really is. We look down to Division 3, where we see where are they? Where Hubbard
Canfield's at 8.
Yeah, Hubbard's at 6 and 0. Then you have Canfield at 8. I'm trying to scan this really quick.
Niles is at 15.
Yeah. And then you got Cheney at 19. So
And Howland's at 17.
Howland at 17, yeah.
Howland,
So, I mean,
sorry about that.
Howland's got an outside shot if they can win a couple games and maybe sneak in. But, I mean,
This whole 16 teams is throwing me for a loop, man. I'm sitting there going like, these guys got no chance to make the playoffs, and then it's like, oh wait, but there's 16 teams now.
What's the rest of Howland's schedule look like?
the rest of Howland's schedule.
East, Cheney, Canfield, and Canton South.
Canton South, yeah.
So it's
Dude,
doable.
They're gonna
Top
have to
4
win 2
in Division 3.
Oh, no, hold on. It's not East. Remember, this game got canceled this week. So
Oh, yeah, that
looking
game
for an
got
opponent.
canceled, yeah.
So if they don't find somebody this week, they're actually off, and now their divisor gets by 9 instead of 8 or 10. I'm sorry.
The top 4 in Division 3 is absolutely brutal. And you have Kenston, who has 1 loss, and that's against Chardon. I mean, you throw Steubenville at number 5. Dover absolutely manhandled them. That top 4 right there. I'm telling you this, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty and you start to get into what the semis or however this all breaks out, Division 3 is going to be a freaking gauntlet.
Division 3 and Division 5 is
5. Yep.
All right, so we got all of Division 3 covered. Division 4.
There you
West
go.
Branch, baby, right at the top.
Number 1 and number 2. 2 powerhouses right at the top.
Youngstown Ursuline, 4-1. That's impressive. I don't care who you are. That is incredibly impressive. Salem falling in at number 7 at 5-1. Girard at number 8. That's an interesting.
That's surprising.
they got 1 loss, right?
Beaver
Sounds-
local.
They only on 1, I think.
I hate that they
Girard's
call.
got 2.
Yeah, Girard's got 2 losses.
They lose on
Girard
Friday.
lost Streetsboro, and then they just
South
lost to
Range.
South Range.
The South Range game, yeah, that's right.
I hate that they call Beaver local Lisbon Beaver. Number 1, they're not in Lisbon anymore. Number 2,
Well, no,
Just
they
call
call them
Beaver.
East Liverpool Beaver Local.
it's Lisbon Beaver local according to the OHSAA.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Joe Itel. So
That's even like Gerard. They got Poland next, and then they got Hubbard. Yeah, then they
So
got
it
2 easier
gets
games.
interesting here, boys, because you got Beaver local at 10, you got Poland at 13,
yep.
and then Struthers on the outside looking in at number 19.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and like Rob just said, for Girard, the unfortunate thing for them is they get Hubbard and then Poland. So, they get the 3 best teams in the league, and they're sitting there going, boy, we're just here at 8 hosting a playoff game right now, and we potentially could be 4-4 with 2 games left, and we could be sliding down in an away game not knowing what's going to happen.
Division 5.
I think it's going to.
Oh, sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be too late for either team. But that Gerard Struthers game is actually looking to be a decent contest.
Amo says Ursuline should be ahead of West Branch.
Yeah, it's about who you play.
100%.
I think.
Well, and
there's
here's the
arguments
funny
on
thing
both
is,
sides.
West Branch is 6-0, Ursuline's 4-1, and they're only separated by, they both have one's at 11.9, the other one's at 11.7. So I mean, they're only divided by like a couple hundredths of a point. But again, it's that divisor that's happening there with one's being divided by 10, the other one's divided by 9. So now you're looking at how that works out.
Where is that at? If Salem would have won against Alliance, do you think we would have had 1, 2, and 3? I think
Who's
we would.
3?
Perry.
Wow. Perry at 5-1. I mean, yeah, that would have been a huge game for them to win.
Yeah, if they're not at 3, they're at least 4.
I think you would have been at 3 with an undefeated
Yeah, well,
record.
Alliance is 2-4 though, so I don't know how big of a win that would have been point wise for them, because you'd only got points off of, an 0-6 Minerva team that they beat.
This is a question for Coach. Coach has like the formula down.
It is a good question for Coach.
Yeah.
Let's take a
What
look
was-
at Division 5. Kirtland leading the way, 5-0 with 14.4667 computer points, and South Range at 6-0. Better record, less computer points, doesn't make much sense because of that multiplier.
Yep. And then Garfield
And
right there at 3.
Garfield, yep, right there with 10 points. It's 6-0. Who else we have?
Edison at 9. Crestview at 10.
Edison, Crestview.
Jefferson.
Liberty.
Jefferson's at 14, and Liberty's our last team in.
And
really, that looks about it. I mean, after that, a couple of those other teams like, Waterloo, Champion, obviously Mooney, like those teams, I think they're done. I don't think there's really anything they can do to get even to 16.
Yeah, I think after this week, you're going to start to see mathematically eliminated for a couple of these divisions just because there's no way for them to make up points.
Right. A lot of these schools have started to play. They played the teams that were going to get them the points in secondary. Like Champion's already played LeBray and Garrettsville. So.
On to Division 6, where we have Springfield at number 3 behind Mogador and Columbia Station. LeBray at number 4, Brookfield at number 5. So we got the medium stack right there. Where else we have? United at number 9.
Western Reserve at 13.
Yep.
And Newton Falls at 16.
And
Ridge
outside looking in.
Yeah, but Ridge can make some moves. I mean, they've got some decent games, I think, left in their schedule. They can maybe try to sneak up there, but they got to pick a game up this week. Because if not, I mean, you feel bad for them. This is homecoming this week. And if they can't get a game this week, now all of a sudden you've only got 3 games to try to make up to get to where you need to go.
And now things get fun down in Division 7. Norwalk St. Paul is the number 1 seed. Lucas at number 2. And then you have Independence, Cuyahoga Heights, Louisville coming in at number 5, followed by Dalton Southern at number 7, Youngstown Valley Christian at number 8. We'll have them against Columbiana on Saturday. Wyndham coming in at number 9. Then you have Warren JFK coming in at 11. Wellsville at 16. McDonald at 17. And that's it.
Yeah, I mean McDonald's another one of those teams. Like they gotta win some games here coming up soon to give themselves a shot to at least get in.
How bad do you feel for them? Like they got their first game in their new stadium, and then they got knocked out for COVID. So they got 1 game in that stadium because the rest of their games are on the road because they're down for this week. That has to be so frustrating for them, and my heart goes out to them because, it just throws a wrench at everything. Do you miss a game? But like people were so excited about that brand new stadium, and they had some problems with it, and now they're sitting on 1 game until next year. That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, and they get
next year for it.
They get a couple teams that can help them out a little bit. I mean, Louisville's sitting at 5-1. That's next week. Unless, again, they can find – they're down. They're the team that's down this week. So Louisville next week can help them out. Waterloo's a good football team. And then, they end with Jackson Milton, who in that same division is further down. So they went out. They might get a chance to sneak in 15, 16. You never know.
If they went out, they're in.
Is there anybody that's on the outside that we didn't mention that is not listed that you think will make an impact moving forward down the stretch? We'll make kind of one of those waiting for everybody to kind of sleep at the wheel and then just straight up from the bottom of the pack. Anybody you know or think can make an impact?
I think you have to look at some of their schedules to see who some of those teams have left. I think that's the biggest thing is, if you can, what's great is if, like Brookfield, for example, they're on the outside looking in, but like they got LeBray and Garrettsville still to play, and that could propel them, in those top 3 seeds. And then you play those teams, and then you go on a run. Now you're like, hey, we're feeling pretty good. You're getting right at the right time, right before the postseason and playing good competition. I don't know some of these schedules, so I think it's hard for me to.
I think for others, I mean, they're sitting at 19 right now. Now, I guess it comes down to points and divisors and all that, but I mean, they have a lot of winnable games coming up. You have a 3-3 Jefferson team. You get a 3-2 Niles, a 4-2 Girard, and you round out the year with Poland. And we all kind of expect Poland to kind of take care of business moving on forward. But I could see them maybe working their way up a little bit. I don't think they host a game or anything, but they could put themselves up in the thick of things, at a 11, 12, maybe even a 10.
What about Valley Christian? They're sitting at 8 right now. Southern's sitting at 7. I think they still have to play each other, do they not?
Next week.
Yeah, so you look at that. That could be a flip. But I can see Valley Christian moving their way up into the 4-5 slot, depending on what happens with Louisville. And then the other one I like is Struthers, kind of sitting outside looking in. Probably not going to get a home game, but they've got a favorable schedule down the stretch, do they not?
The only difficult game left is really Poland.
Gonna say there must be an echo.
Yeah, like DJ was saying, basically, I mean the game that I would be worried about if I was Struthers right now is the Poland game. Now, of course, you want to play every team the way you should each week, but what I'm saying is realistically on paper, that is the only game left that they should struggle with.
And Valley should win out. Valley should win the next 4 games. They win out. I think they stay in the top 8 for sure, and maybe even slide up another spot or 2 because, I mean, Columbiana, Southern, Wellsville, and East Palestine.
Southern's going to be a test for them.
Southern's the hardest one.
The nice thing is they get
sitting at 4 and 2. They might be a test for them.
I think they host Southern this year, so it should be.
Yeah, they get them at home, so that's the nice thing for them.
And I'll say this is the greatest show on turf, which is what, if you listen to the Coach's Corner today from Valley Christian with Andy Hake, that's what they're calling themselves. The greatest show on turf. They like that moniker. And I listen, they're on turf the rest of the way out. Even when they go to East Palestine in Week 10, they're on turf. A fast team on turf is going to do damage. The only thing that I think could stop Valley at this point is going to be inclement weather. Because
I would disagree. I would say close games because right now they shoot themselves in the foot and they have too many stupid penalties in those close games.
But I think they had 3 last week. So, coach sitting them out for the first half probably spoke to them.
Helped, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you the team that we did talk about them a little bit, saying that Rob liked them a lot too. Is Harding? Harding's sitting at 13, and they're 2 and 4.
Who's Harding? What did you say, though?
Well, we talked about them, but I mean they're a team to watch out for because they're sitting at 13. I mean they can ruin some seasons for some people coming up.
Not YSN schools.
Yeah, some of the YSN schools. I mean
none of the YSN schools. They have YSN power.
Yeah. I mean, their last 4 games are all against YSN schools. I mean, and they're not going to be a team that people are going to want to see in the playoffs if they stay in the playoffs.
I think Howland they're just on the outside right now looking in, correct?
Yep.
I think with their schedule, I think if they can win 2 out of their next 4, I think they're in. But I think they're in at that 16 or 15 spot.
They only have 3. They only have 3 games left unless they find something.
So they need to win 2 of the next 3 then.
I feel like they're going to find something.
They have to be like Canfield, just so you can get those level 1 points, and you're going to get the secondary points. I mean, I start to look at people like the Howlands and the Niles, and or even what hurts Valley Christian is the teams that they play coming up outside of Southern. You're playing a 1-5 Columbiana and a 0-6 East Palestine, so you're really not getting a lot of points from them. So if Valley beats Southern, they might jump up a spot or 2, but as it all starts to shake out, those secondary points is kind of what helps you move up, moving forward. I think Valley Christian gets to like a 5 or 6, so they still host. But I really don't think you're going to budge the top 4 in Division 7, which still, even at that, then you're not traveling until, the second or third round of the playoffs because we have 65 million teams in the playoffs now.
Right. It would take a couple losses from one of those top seeded teams to make that happen.
But keep in mind, too, at 11, you got JFK, right, who's just kind of lingering around. And they're going to be the beneficiary of these secondary points, EB, like you said, down the stretch. So they're going to automatically jump from 11 to probably somewhere in the top 8, I would imagine, with what they're going to get. Because, they played Mogador last week. They're playing tough teams. They don't have Helen. Yeah. So you look at what they're doing and why they're doing it, and they set themselves up for success each week, even if they don't win the game. because and again, we talked about this yesterday. I'm sick of people talking about JFK like they're kind of some kind of chopped liver. They have one of the toughest schedules around as a D7 program. Not only is a D7 program, but a D7 program that has 20-some players on their roster. You watch them in the playoffs, and you have guys that are lined up from sideline to sideline when they're stretching out. And
They
JFK,
also get the benefit of they're independent, so they can pick their schedule.
absolutely.
So,
but
as
here's
they should, and I'm not saying that like that's a negative. That's a good thing because you can schedule games like JFK and those other teams. If you played in the league and it's a bad league, you may not want to go out and you can't afford a loss.
Right.
We've seen teams before when it was an 8, or teams would go 10-0 or 9-1, not make
what
the
was
playoffs.
that league they were in? The North
Portage Trail, wasn't it?
East.
Was it Portage Trail or the NAC?
They weren't in the Portage Trail or the NAC.
It was like a Northeast something or other.
This Greater Lakes Conference.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was wild. Like some of the teams they had to play.
And they have a tough schedule going on. And they get a Division 5 Rootstown this week. Now, St. Thomas Aquinas is 0-6, and Cleveland Central Catholic's 2-3. But they're going to end the season with a Division 5 Southeast team, who right now Southeast is hosting the playoffs if they would start today. So 2 of their next 4 games are tough games. And, even when you go back and look at Howland real quick too, Howland, they need to beat Canfield. If they don't pick up a game this week, then their big win that they need to get is Canfield. Because they're going to get Cheney after that. They're going to get Cheney, Canfield, and then they're going to finish with Canton South. And Canton South's 4-2, but Canton South's wins are not impressive. Like, combined, the teams that they won have five wins compared to 18 losses.
Canton South is going to play. Did they play Salem already?
No, they have not played Salem yet.
So they always play Salem tough, and they always play West Branch tough, as far as I know.
They lost to West Branch.
They lost,
63-42.
Okay, so
yeah,
they played
Alliance, Minerva, Salem, and Howland. Or Howland is the team that we're talking about. So, but Alliance is 2-4, Minerva's 0-6. So you need Canton South to beat Salem, and then you need to beat Canton South for Howland to get in.
Well, what I'm saying is, you look at JFK, and they are going to, like, if it stood right now, and they didn't play any of the other games, you're going to see JFK go boop, 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 all the way up in week 10, whether they win or lose. That's the crazy part about this, because the points are on their side. You look at Southern, you look at Valley Christian, the points are not on their side. So they're going to have to literally protect themselves by winning out the rest of the way. Wyndham's in a bad situation. They're at number 9. Who do they have left on their schedule?
But you're saying if JFK doesn't win another game, they're in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I disagree.
No, they're in. They're locked.
No.
Well, they're going to beat St. Thomas Aquinas. Come on.
Okay, so that gives them 4 wins, and
they're winning, dude. I mean,
they beat a Cognac PA team, which those computer points are real weird how they transfer over. They beat a 3-3 Western Reserve team and a 1-5 champion team. I don't know where if they beat St. Thomas and they lose the rest of their games, they're out of the playoffs. I'd say they're out.
No way.
Skittles on that.
They lost to Mogador by 2.
So you don't get any points for losses.
Yeah, you don't get points for losing. You lost to a 6-0 Garfield team, and you got beat by 2 touchdowns there. Your canceled game against Fairport Harding.
And unless if it changed before, for out-of-state teams, you only got the level 1. Like so, it used to be like if you were Division 1, it was 4 points. Division 2, 3.5. Division 3 points, Division 4, 2.5, Division 1 point, and so on. So unless they change that up, like for that Division 7 Cognac or Division 5, they're only getting like 1 point out of that, and that goes into your divisor. But like there's a formula to it, and then like your Division 2 or your L2 divisor is like 0.5 or something for every division that they are. Unless they change it the past couple of years, I used to be able to do it or I had it written down somewhere to figure it out. But yeah, you don't get any secondary points off of out of state.
Yeah, I mean, and they could beat Rootstown. They beat Rootstown this week. That's huge because that's a Division 5 school. And if they beat Rootstown, then I can see your point. Then okay, yeah, they can win that game. They can be in the playoffs. But if
Why
they
don't you get any points for losses? That's my question.
There's never been that way. Yeah,
you lost. You only get
0
wins. You don't
points.
get points for wins because with that team that you beat, now you get their points when they win as well. Those points get on your back, and you keep going. Lose, it's a big goose egg. You lose, you get nothing for losing. Why would you get any points for losing? You lost.
For scheduling up.
That doesn't mean. Yeah,
you gotta win.
And that's what and that's my bad for not understanding that because I thought they got points for losses. So if you're the OHSAA and you want these teams to play each other, why wouldn't you change that to represent?
It's similar to the
old
style BCS.
You'd have some Dick school schedule all the big D1 schools out there, an independent school, and say we're going to schedule all D1, and who cares if we lose because we're going to get points for losing to them, and then we can make the playoffs. No, that's where you see those independent schools like a Mooney and an Ursuline and JFK scheduling the big D1, D2 schools because hey, you beat 1 or 2 of them, you can go 2-8 in the season because now that team might go 9-1, and you're getting all those points just piling up on you.
This is how Ursuline went to the playoffs years ago when they only had 4 wins because they beat 4 Division 1 schools.
And then they're playing in Division 4, Division 5 with 4 wins, and they're hosting. And that's what upset people all the time because they're like, wait a second, they're playing up. And but now they get to play the playoffs against D5 schools. Like, that's not fair. Well, you can go schedule those games too. It's not saying you can't, but that's where everybody always argued about the recruiting thing and all. Look, they can go get all these D1 athletes to come to their school, but get to play D5 kids. That's not fair. Well, now it's kind of the playing field's gotten a little level with open enrollment because now kids can go wherever they want, and you still have to sit different things. Yeah, within reason.
Yeah,
but,
that's why South Range will probably jump Kirtland when it's all said and done if they go 10-0, just because they play a vast majority D3, D4 schools. Yeah. And Kirtland's schedule from here on out is all D6, D5. So those primary points is what's going to really build up. I always remember, as years back, Crestview used to play a couple Cleveland schools that were like Division 2. Well, that Division 2 school might win 2 games that whole year, but they get those the big points off the win, and then anything else after that's just kind of an added bonus.
Well, I learned something today. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, because we look at EB brought up Kirtland. Kirtland only plays 1 school in their division, and they didn't even get to play that school. It got canceled. The rest of their games are D3 or D4 schools, and they got a D4, a D2, and then 2 more D4s at the end of the year. So that's kind of what's keeping them lingering around. But the thing is, the teams they play the rest of the way out, with the exception of Perry this week, all have losing records and probably will finish that way too. So yeah, if South Range can win out and get those big points off of the Hubbard game when they win that game, yeah, they'll probably leap them and go to number 1 to host. But yeah, you got to win games to get points, and that's the bad thing for some of these schools. The wins that they have, they need to be against good schools.
There has to be a nice balance of your schedule. You don't want to just schedule all the way up, because if you don't win any, you don't get no points. But you can't necessarily schedule down so much to where you go 10-0 and don't get any points either.
JFK is going to be there when it's all said and done.
And they're a team that, like, hey, you know what? I'm sure they want to be a top seed, but for them, listen, you get in and you're dangerous.
Yeah, their business as usual. They don't care. They're just, hey, you don't play our schedule, let's go.
If they win one of those 2 big games, Rootstown this week, who's D5, or their last game of the season at Southeast, who's a D5. They win one of those.
Even looking at it now from a different lens, Matthews, Toronto, and Wellsville are not going to win out. I can't imagine.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, at some point, Wellsville already played Southern. They already played. I think they already played Valley.
If they lose out, they would probably be a 16 seed.
Which, again, we just said they're fine.
Yeah, you don't want to see them. But I mean,
Norwalk St. Paul, wasn't that the team they beat last year, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
They
listen, they beat Rootstown and or Southeast. They because they're going to beat St. Thomas.
They'll
And they're going to
clinch.
beat Cleveland Central.
They'll clinch their spot in for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, they beat Rootstown this week. They're in. They're in the playoffs. They could lose. They could lose the last 3. They'll be okay.
What's Wyndham looking like the rest of the way?
Wyndham actually,
Not
believe it
good.
or not, Wyndham's got a favorable schedule. They get Pie Valley this week.
Favorable?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tough game for them. But they get Fairport Harding, who's 0-4. They get Matthews, who's 3-2. But then they're going to finish with Rootstown too. So
I'm saying, like every one of their opponents, except for Harding, has a winning record. I mean, their schedule is definitely not favorable.
Is that Fairport back in action yet? Weren't they the ones that canceled on JFK because they didn't have enough kids?
They canceled on the 18th, but they played Pie Valley last week and lost 12-0.
Wow.
And they get Matthews this week. So
Oh, please call them Pymatuming Valley so we don't get freaking calls. That's oh my gosh.
well, they're not a YSN school, so we're okay.
Oh,
I don't understand. My niece goes to Pie Valley, and everything on their school says Pie Valley. There's no.
Yeah.
it's said
Their
it on their
jerseys
uniforms.
say, yeah, their
There's shirts,
jerseys say
their
Pie Valley.
jerseys. They got T-shirts that say Pie Valley. So
I got the
you got-
nastiest call from some lady from Pymatuming Valley, Pymatuning or whatever the hell it is. That's why we call it Pie Valley, because we don't know how the end is. We just don't. Yeah. Frustration. What do we
That's
got?
it too. I mean, Wyndham can pull off that win and or get that Rootstown win at the end of the year. They can solidify themselves of staying in the playoffs too, because
Harding
they should beat Harding, Fairport Harding, and they should beat Matthews.
Fairport Harding. Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, Fairport Harding.
Can't say Harding around here. All right, boys, hang tight while we get the banner ready to. Or
So
I guess
which
the
one
graphic.
is Coach talking about? Fairport Harding, or is he talking about
Fairport.
Warren Harding?
Fairport. Back end of the show means it's the time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them on the web at dickieelectric.com. Paul, you've been very helpful today. Talk to me about your spark.
Oh man, I don't know. You kind of caught me off guard there. Just come back to me.
Okay.
What a wuss.
Look at this. Here it is. Here it is. Go.
My spark was over the weekend. Kate and I went to see Eric Church. We had a great time. Met Chris Sigler down there and met up with him, a YSN guy, and we just had a great time. It was a great show. We were 5 feet away from Eric Church, so he played a couple songs there, and it was a splendid time.
Nice. And you recovered well, it looks like.
I have, yes.
Very well.
There you go.
Quincy.
It's a very generic, stupid one, but it makes me happy because the
The
Padres
weather's real nice.
the playoffs.
I hate you.
Suck on that one, Billy.
Did you say the Padres will not make the playoffs
They've
officially?
been
They were officially eliminated last
They are
night.
out.
But they had a great April, Quinn. How dare you?
Where did Billy go? There he is.
That's my team. That's my team. Next year.
They showed more heart in fighting each other in the dugout the last month of the season than they did about winning.
That
baseball.
is an absolute fact. Where's that energy on the field?
Jeez. All right, let's go to our daily PSA.
Yeah, we're not doing that today. My positive spark is Grandview Tavern out of Lake Milton. It's just a very cool place. If you have a motorcycle, just hop on it right out there. It takes about 35, 40 minutes depending. And they have 4 draft beers for $7 on Sundays, which you can't beat. And if you've never had their mild pepper rings, I strongly suggest you get a chance to make it out there to check them out. It's a pretty cool place.
The Grandview is not a sponsor yet.
There you go, Rob. We'll get him as a sponsor.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'll show them this. We got it.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I can't remember if I talked about it. Obviously, I didn't yesterday. So yeah, our good positive spark over the weekend was Billy brought out to mind was the country concert. So we went to see Stapleton, and we actually took the girls to their first concert. So they were excited the whole ride down there, and then they lasted all of 3 songs, and then they fell asleep, and they were out cold, laying on the blanket for the rest of the show. But they had a great time. Chris Stapleton's an awesome show, and I got to see sort of a YSN connection guy down there, Renforth. His brother is our guy on the racing team for YSN. So I was hanging out with Paul and Brandy were down there. So it was cool.
The Boomhauer Bandit, his kin, I guess. Niddle must not have been tuning in yesterday.
He wasn't listening yesterday. Yeah, that was my thing yesterday, Gary.
Congratulations, G-Net.
Grace got it.
Fantastic. If you don't know what's going on, don't give your opinion. Okay. I think I know where that's coming from, where that's stemming from. Let's go, EB.
Positive spark. A little shout out to the Salem girls soccer team. They moved to 12-0 yesterday, and I believe they pitched. It was their 6th or 7th consecutive shutout. So they've scored like 34 or 35 goals in the past, I don't know, 6 or 7 matches. Haven't been scored upon, which, a lot of those girls are basketball players. So it's just really fun to see their success during the fall sports and on the soccer field, and get a little state recognition again. I think for the 3rd week in a row, they're ranked number 15 in the state, and I just like to see their hunger and get out and see them all having fun and continue, carry over success from last year and let it, keep on pushing forward this year.
I'm going to go 2 positive sparks and a negative spark. The positive spark is going to be Sarah Lowe, the head coach of Beaver Local Volleyball, getting her 200th career win last night. Congratulations to her. Listen, one of the best around. She could go coach D1 volleyball right now, and that team would not miss a beat. And I'm talking college. So congratulations to Sarah Lowe. Really, really dedicated. Her coaches, her players, to the program, and it's really starting to show. If you haven't seen a Beaver Local game, you need to. That's really good volleyball. Great volleyball down in Southern Columbia County from a bunch of the different teams. The second one is going to be just technology, being able to FaceTime people that you don't see on a regular basis. If you're homesick or stuff like that. I love that. I think it's fantastic. Stuff like this, being able to connect 6 of us in the world, basically, within, an hour. So hats off to that. Obviously, I'm battling a little bit of a cold here. So my negative spark is going to be people that don't believe that there's colds anymore. And now you have to go do rapid tests every time that you have a sniffle. So I am COVID negative. I come to find out again, and the guy kind of said, "Yeah, you're just sick." And I said, "Oh, we're allowed to be just sick nowadays." He said, "Well, that just depends on what you believe." So, apparently, we can still get colds and not have COVID. So, kudos to that. And then he asked me promptly if I wanted a flu shot, and I said, "Absolutely not. Stop jabbing people, man. Stop. Just stop sticking stuff in people. It's wrong. It's wrong." So that's my.
Or is it?
That is my situation. So thanks to Joe Dickey Electric for sponsoring the Spark. And
maybe I will change my thing to I'll just be videoed because my thoughts pop up. That would be not a good thing.
I'm telling you, the guy he gave me the rapid test and he's like, "You're not COVID. Do you want the COVID shot?" And I was like, "Dude, what? How do you know if I have it already?" He goes, "Have you?" I was like, "That's none of your business." He's like, "Do you want the flu shot?" No! Stop trying to poke me with stuff. Stop. Just leave me alone. Stop it.
Put your hands on the table, sir.
Old Dr. Jelly Gloves coming your way. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks to our great sponsors for hanging out with us. Thanks for you to hang out with us. And thanks to the great – I mean, you guys are always great. Always great. So I appreciate that. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 4. Scotty will be with us here on YSN Live.
And thank you for Eli Manning and his double bird.